Hello everyone, I am Simran Kaur from Shivjyoti Educational Group, and today we will start part 1 of chapter 16, Light. The topics which we will see are: eyes enables us to see the things around, laws of reflection, regular and diffused reflection, reflected light can be reflected again, and multiple images. So, few topics you are familiar with them, and we will cover some new topics also. So, let us recall the previous concepts which we have seen in your previous classes. Light, what is light? Now, everything which is visible to us right now, we can see so many things which are present in our room, in our surrounding, that is possible because of the presence of light. Suppose you are in a dark room, so will you be able to see any object? No. Why? Because there is no light. So to see any object, you need two things. First is light and second is your eyes. So if any one is missing out of these two things, you will not be able to see anything. Like suppose your eyes are working properly, but there is no light in the room, so you will not be able to see any object. And let's say in the other case, light is there, abundant of light is present in your room, but your eyes are not functioning properly. Then in that case also, you will not be able to see any object. So what two things are required to see something? Eyes and light. So let's define it. Light is a kind of energy which is detected by human eye and is produced by different sources. There are so many sources of light like sunlight, stars, fire, this table lamp, candle, firecrackers, they all produce light. The next topic, eyes enable us to see the things around. How our eyes help us to see objects? Look what happened. Here in this picture, a lamp is present which is the source of light. So the light rays which are coming out of this lamp, they are falling on this globe. Now we know that any hard object, any surface, it has capability of reflecting those light rays. So the globe is doing the same thing. So he is reflecting those light rays and the reflected rays are in random direction. So out of those rays, few rays are falling into his eyes, are falling into the eyes of this boy. So what is actually happening? In our eyes, a lens is present. So those few rays which are falling in our eye lens, and because with the help of this lens, an image is formed at retina of that globe. So you can see these light rays are meeting at a point and this point is present on retina. Then this retina forwards the signals to our brain and our brain tells us that you are seeing that globe, and this is how we are able to see any object. So understood how eyes help us to see things? The next topic is laws of reflection. Now let's recall the concept of reflection. What is reflection? Bouncing back of light, or if in the light ray, if in the path of light, if there is any object present, so that object, or we call any reflecting surface, it changes the direction of the coming light. So that phenomena of change in direction of light is known as reflection. So there are few laws which we will study in this topic. So before understanding the first law of reflection, you should know few terms which are incident ray, reflected ray, normal, angle of incidence and angle of reflection. Let's imagine here a plane mirror, a reflecting surface is present, and here is any source of light, let's say a torch, okay, and it is giving light. So the light ray which is coming out of this torch, it is coming in this direction, and that light ray is falling on this plane mirror. Now this is reflecting surface, so at this point, which is known as point of incidence. This point is known as point of incidence. At this point, reflection occurs. So this plane mirror reflects this incident ray, and that ray is known as reflected ray. So the ray which is falling on plane mirror first, it is known as incident ray, and after reflection that ray is known as reflected ray. Now we will draw a perpendicular to this plane mirror, and that perpendicular is known as normal. Is it clear what is incident ray, reflected ray and normal? Now you can see few angles are forming here. First, with respect to incident ray and normal, you can see this incident ray is making some angle with this normal. So this angle is known as angle of incidence. What it is known as? Angle of incidence, and it is represented by angle I. And here reflected ray is also making some angle with this normal. So that angle is known as angle of reflection. So angle of incidence and angle of reflection. Now I hope these all terms are clear to you. Now we will talk about the first law of reflection. According to first law of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Let's say this angle of incidence is 30 degree. So the angle of reflection will always be 30 degree. If angle of incidence is 45 degree, then angle of reflection will also be 45 degree. If it is 60 degree, then it will also be 60 degree. So in all cases we can see angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection, and this is our first law of reflection. Then coming to the second law of reflection, which says that incident ray, reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Like you can see, this is plane mirror. Source of light is torch. Light rays are falling on this plane mirror. So these are incident rays. Got it? Then this is reflected ray, reflected by this plane mirror. Now you can see all of these, incident ray, reflected ray and perpendicular to this plane mirror, they all are lying on the same plane. If that is not clear by this image, so look here. Incident ray, reflected ray and normal all are lying on the same plane, and this is our second law of reflection. Ray, first term is ray. Can you see with context to this chapter, what does it represent? It represents a light ray. So what is a light ray? The path along which light travels, and we always indicate it with some direction because light always moves in a particular direction. So that direction is represented by this arrow. So the path along which light travels is known as ray. And there is one more term, beam. If there are so many light rays, then it consists of a beam. We say beam of light. So it consists of so many light rays. Now there are two types of beam, three types actually. One type is parallel beam. That means all light rays are parallel to each other. Second type is converging beam, in which the light rays meet at a point. You can see all three light rays are meeting at one point. Then the other type of beam is diverging beam, in which light rays separate out from a point, and this type of beam is known as diverging beam. So here comes your first internal question, which you have to write on page 212. Define ray of light and mark the answer under the section highlight. A ray of light is a path along which light travels. It is represented by a line with an arrow to indicate the direction. Okay, now next topic is nature of image formed by plane mirror. What is plane mirror? The mirror into which we look our face, we look ourselves before going anywhere, that is plane mirror. So we will talk about the characteristic of the image formed by that plane mirror. So the kind of image formed is always virtual. Plane mirror always forms virtual image. And what is virtual image? Look, there are two types of images. Let's recall this topic. Virtual and real. Virtual image cannot be obtained on screen. It can't be, we cannot obtain it on screen. Whereas real images can be obtained on screen. Example of virtual images are image in the plane mirror. By that we means that if you will move away from that plane mirror, so your image will also be gone from there. So that type of image is known as virtual image, as we are not able to capture our image on the screen, on a sheet of paper or any screen. But on the other hand, real images can be obtained on screen. The images which you see in the movie theaters and cinema halls, that is example of real image. The another property of virtual image is it is always erect. Suppose this is plane mirror and this is tree. So the image of this tree will be seen this way only. So this type of image is known as erect image, as it is in upright position. But in case of real image is always inverted. By this we mean this is tree. If we are using any spherical mirror, then the image will get invert. So this type of image is known as inverted image. Coming back to our topic, so image formed by plane mirror is virtual, erect, and the image is formed at the same distance as an object is placed in front of the mirror. Suppose you are standing 5 meters away from the plane mirror, then your image is it appears that your image is standing 5 meters behind the mirror. Okay, the distance remain same. Then the image formed is laterally inverted. Now what is lateral inversion? We will see in our next topic. This is lateral inversion, in which the right side of object becomes the left side of image and the left side of object becomes the right side of image, and vice versa. It gets reversed. Like this is F written this way. Now this is plane mirror. So what type of image will be formed? This way. You can see this straight line is at the left side of object, but in case of image it is at right side. So this phenomena is known as lateral inversion. Let's define it. The effect of reversing the sides of an object and its image in the mirror is called lateral inversion. You can see this girl is getting ready. So this is object, this girl is acting as an object. In reality, this is her right side, but in her image, this part is looking like her left side. So the sides are getting reversed. So this phenomena is known as lateral inversion. Here comes your next internal question, which you have to write on page 214. What is lateral inversion? And mark the last line. The phenomena of left appearing right and right appearing left on reflection in a plane mirror is called lateral inversion. Let's perform an activity to see it. Now you can see I have written a word on the board. Now if we will check this word through plane mirror, what can you read? Can you read something? Ambulance is written. So why? We can see this word written this manner because of the phenomena of lateral inversion. The next topic, regular and diffuse reflection. Now you know that there are two types of surfaces, rough and smooth. So let's say this is smooth surface. Initially all light rays are parallel to each other. Now these light rays are falling on this smooth surface. So reflection will be done here by this surface. So after reflection, all those light rays are again parallel to each other. They are reflected in the same direction. So this type of light rays form a sharp and clear image, and this type of reflection is known as regular reflection, which is done by the smooth surface. So when all parallel rays reflected from a smooth, polished and regular surface are parallel, then the reflection is known as regular reflection. What are the examples of smooth surfaces? Like mirror, that is an example, a best example of smooth polished surface. Then the metallic plates which we see at our homes, that is also a polished surface. We can see the image, okay, of our face in the plate. Clear images are formed by regular reflection. Regular reflection is observed in smooth surfaces. Water and mirror are some of the examples of smooth surfaces. That's why we are able to see the reflection of the objects in the water body. Another type of reflection is irregular or diffused reflection, which is done by the rough surface. Now imagine you are standing in front of wall. So will you be able to see your image on that wall? That wall is reflecting light rays, but we are not able to see our image forming on that wall. Why? Because wall is a rough surface, and on rough surfaces irregular reflection is performed. So if all parallel rays reflected from an irregular surface are not parallel, then the reflection is known as irregular reflection. You can see initially light rays are parallel to each other, but as they fall on this rough surface, they are getting reflected in random direction. The beam of light rays is not parallel to each other. So this type of reflection forms a not very clear and sharp image, and that is why we are not able to obtain any image on the wall. Diffuse reflection is caused by irregularities in the reflecting surface, and we see hazy image, that means the blurry image or no image at all. Examples are cardboard, wall. All the things that we see in our surroundings is due to the reflection of light. Like you are able to see this board, this pointer. Why? Because these objects are reflecting light. Then there are some objects that shine due to the light of other objects. However, there are objects that emit their own natural light. Like this pointer or myself, I have no light. I do not produce any light. But there are few objects present in the nature which produce their own light. And those type of objects are known as luminous objects, which have their own light. The objects that emit light of their own are known as luminous objects. These objects glow naturally, like this bulb. It has its own light. Then this candle, and the best example is sun. It has its own light. So all these are example of luminous objects. The object must have its own source of energy to glow. Another example is the firefly, the jugnu, that is also luminous. It emits its own light. Then the other category is non-luminous object. The objects which do not emit light. The objects that do not emit light of their own are known as non-luminous or illuminated objects, like us. We are non-luminous objects. These objects reflect light which they receive from other sources, like moon. During night time, we see that moon glows. So does it have its own light? No, moon does not have its own light. So how it appears to be glowing? Because the moon reflects the sunlight, and that's how we are able to see that moon. Another example, wood, stones. There are so many examples of non-luminous objects. Okay, then again the next topic, and interesting topic, reflected light can be reflected again. Now it is not that only one time reflection will be performed, multiple times it can be there. Like in the case of barber shop. Now when you get your hair done, you want to see the back side of your head, but without any mirror we are not able to see the back side. So how is that possible? How can we see our back part? By using two mirrors. So what actually happens? Let me draw it. Suppose this is the big mirror present in the barber shop, and you are sitting here. Okay. Now you want to see the back side of your head. So how will you see it? The barber placed a small mirror in the back side. So the light rays which are falling, which are coming from your head, those light rays will first fall on the small mirror. There it is reflecting surface. So reflection will be performed here by this mirror. Now these light rays are getting reflected by this mirror. Let's say this way. Now these light rays are falling where? On another mirror. Let's say this is mirror 2 and this was mirror 1. Now those same rays are falling on this second mirror. Now again this is reflecting surface. So reflection will be performed here. Now after reflection from this mirror, those light rays are falling in your eyes. And that's how you are able to see the back side of your head. So here double reflection is there. Generally, we notice that when we go to a salon for a haircut, the barber places a mirror at our back to show their haircut. The hair at our back are seen due to the reflection of light from the two mirrors, one in the front and the other at the back. The reflection from both the mirrors help us to see the things that are not directly visible. This is first mirror and this is the big is second mirror. So based on that fact, we have one device which is known as periscope. This is an instrument which is designed to see the objects that are not directly visible. Suppose you are 5 feet tall, but in front of you a 7 feet wall is there. So you will not be able to see the things which are present behind the wall. So either by climbing the wall you will be able to see the objects, and the other thing is by using this device periscope. So this is the structure of periscope. Here we use two mirrors. Suppose you are standing here. Suppose you are standing here. This is wall of this much height and a tree is present here behind this wall. You are not able to see this tree because of this big wall. So by using this periscope, what is happening? The light rays which are coming from this end, those light rays are falling on this mirror. Now this mirror is placed at an angle of 45 degree. This is fixed. The angle, the measure of angle is fixed, that is 45 degree. Now the rays which are falling on this mirror, obviously it will reflect those light rays. So those light rays are reflected in this direction. Now again those light rays are falling on a second mirror which is placed at the same angle, which is 45 degree. Now after falling on this mirror, light will again get reflected and it will fall in the eyes of this man. So now you can see the mirror which, the tree which is placed behind this wall. In this device, the light is reflected by the two mirrors placed at two different positions. The topic is multiple images. This is very interesting phenomena. Whenever you go for shopping, you try for your clothes first. Okay, you check your size and you check whether it is looking good on you or not. So when we enter trial room, we see so many mirrors are placed there, out of which parallel mirrors are also there. So in parallel mirrors, we see multiple images. Okay, we do not see only one image, we see so many images of us. So how is that possible? Because of multiple reflection, which is this topic. Now there are two conditions, there are so many conditions. We will study about only two. Let's discuss first case, when mirrors are placed at (90 degree). The first case is when mirrors are placed at 90 degree, that means this is first mirror, this is second mirror, and you have placed any object here. Now because of these two mirrors, you will be able to see the image of this object. So the first image is formed here. Let's say this is mirror 1 and this is mirror 2. Now the first image formed by this object is here. We are talking about plane mirror only, so the distances will be same between the object and mirror and image and mirror. So the first image is this because of this mirror 1. The another image will be formed by mirror 2, which will be somewhere here. Okay. Now because of these two images, let's say this is image 1 and this is image 2. Now because of these two images, a third image is formed, which is formed here. So this is the reflection of this image also and this image also. So we call it image 3, and it has higher intensity than these two images because the images of these two images are overlapping here. So the intensity of this image is more. This is the example. Here you can see two mirrors are placed perpendicular to each other, that means at 90 degree, and this is the object. We have taken candle as an object, and you can see three images. One is here, second image, and this is third image, I3. Understood? Then the second case is when mirrors are placed at 0 degree, or we can say parallel to each other. They are parallel to each other. This is mirror 1 and this is mirror 2. Here is any object. This is first mirror, this is second mirror. Now according to this, the image of this object is formed by this mirror here. Okay, now this is first image. Now this image will work as an object for this mirror. So the image of this is formed here. Okay. Now again, now this image, this image will act as an object for this mirror. So the image of this is formed behind this image, and it keeps on going, so we get infinite number of images. Single plane mirror forms only one image. However, if we use a combination of plane mirrors, then multiple images are formed. Now this is a device known as kaleidoscope, in which we use three plane mirrors, and it looks like this, and we have to arrange those plane mirrors in this shape, in a triangular shape. So what we do, we fill this kaleidoscope with some pieces of bangles or any colored pieces of papers, and when you will rotate this kaleidoscope, so because of these three plane mirrors, multiple images of those pieces are formed, and this is the functioning of kaleidoscope. We get some beautiful patterns. So kaleidoscope is used by wallpaper designers because they need new designs, fabric designer and artists to get ideas for new patterns. So this is the inside view of kaleidoscope. You can see so many beautiful patterns are formed, and these plane mirrors are placed at an angle of 60 degree. So you can see this is an equilateral triangle. So that was all about part 1 of our chapter. I hope you understood the chapter well. Thank you.